Well, this video is on the State of the Union. Um, I got a computer just the other side of my telephone that I'm looking at. And we got a major issue here that pretty much anybody should have seen coming. Um, we got Putin Jr., Vladimir Trump-Putin, maybe. We got human beings in the United States being treated worse than animals, and a lot of them. And now we got this issue here with Mr. Maduro. So let's see what's going on here with that. What's going on here with that is, well, y'all remember Putin. We're not going to invade the Ukraine. No, we're just doing maneuvers. Donald Trump. Oh, we're not after the president of Venezuela. No, we're just after the drug dealers. We're just after the cartels. Really? If they wanted the cartels, there's plenty here. There's a whole bunch of middlemen. A bunch of them. With a lot of money. They don't go after those people. No, they go after drug addicts here in the United States. And then they make a bunch of programs that don't actually help those drug addicts. And then the reason that they don't work, the excuse that we get to hear is, oh, they just don't want to be helped. No, the reality is it takes you too damn long and you don't know what the hell you're doing. If you're not going into it when it comes to abuse against the elderly or the disabled, if you're not going at it like it was your 9-year-old daughter who was just abused, then you're not doing it right. You're not being a good friend. You're not being a good family member. You're looking the other way and making excuses. And that's all you're doing at that point. You could make the time to turn it in. If your 9-year-old daughter called you today and said that somebody had touched her inappropriately or forced themselves on her, how long would it take for you to start turning it in? And if they're going to treat your daughter like a liar and refuse to look at evidence, well, if the evidence exists, it does need to be seen. And it's not just if it's your 9-year-old daughter. Mandatory reporters also have to report if it's someone who is elderly or someone who's disabled. Obviously, I'm not elderly, but there's plenty of elderly out here on the streets being treated like animals. Plenty of veterans out here being treated like animals. There they are. So one of the issues we have today with Vladimir Trump-Putin, see, here's one of the big differences between Trump and Putin. Donald Trump has access to all of your work. If you live in the United States, well, basically anywhere in the world, if you are working, you're actually subsidizing Americans in their global war. I do have to call it that because it's, well, Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin are trying to pull back the Cold War. It's a major issue for all of us. I was supposed to be talking about Deputy Taylor today. That was kind of the plan, and I do plan on doing that as well. But the State of the Union right now is screwed. Everything's gone up exponentially. Of course, the cost of living increase is not matching the minimum wage increase, and minimum wage is not enough to live on anyway. Now, there's a lot of stuff that, as a homeless person, I was able to save money by not having to do, like not having to move all the time, not having to buy a bunch of electronics, not having to keep and maintain a bunch of crap that really I do have to keep and maintain now to try to turn in my predators. And there are a lot of them. I see what's happening. The same thing people have been complaining about for years. The rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer. But we got a president in the office who gives rednecks what they want. That's a scary thing. I'm in a racist redneck town, and of course, they're more liberal with their racism and hatred while Trump's in office. Also, if the police make a mistake, Donald Trump will side with the police. He thinks it's okay if they accidentally hit you a little bit, accidentally beat on you just a little bit. This is how rich people think. This is how most Americans think. Violently. That's their solution. I'm told to record it when people are abusing me, and I do. But it doesn't matter. Because I'm homeless, I don't matter. I'm not Donald Trump. Now, we got this situation. We got this chump in office who thinks he should be allowed to grab women by the you-know-what. His connection to Epstein Island cannot be overstated. The president didn't do a good job. He has committed a lot of criminal acts since becoming president again, but it's okay if he commits these criminal acts. Also, this Maduro character, he called it out. Just like people called it out when Russia was at the border with Ukraine. People knew it was happening, they just didn't want to believe it. The Russians wanted to believe that their dude in charge was, well, it don't matter what they think. We live in the United States of America. Donald Trump has one of Putin's mail order wives, or two of them, isn't it? A current and an ex. The White House is a joke. The president is a joke. But the American people ain't laughing. That's not true, is it? The mean ones are laughing. They get to do whatever they want. More money means more rights. If you don't have the money for a real lawyer, you get yourself a public pretender, and a public pretender isn't even going to pretend to defend you most of the time. They might pretend to put up a token effort in court if it makes it that far. But really, they're just going to try to intimidate you into taking a plea bargain or a plea deal. They don't care about your evidence. They don't care about your side. This is costing Americans a lot of money. Arresting people on false charges and beating them up, but you get away with it. If it's a homeless person, they can't sue you. Oh, Samuel Leon Lawrence IV lived in the house, so he was able to sue. Zade Atkinson lived in the house, so he was able to sue. But what about the other victims of Officer Waylon Lolatai. All these years later, his crimes still affect me everywhere I go. They affect how I am treated. Not that I'm treated that well to begin with. We're going to get into the evidence today. Just a little bit more. Try to make as many connections as we can. Connect some videos to it. I got a lot of stuff to do, and, well, part of a day to do it. When it comes to Americans helping other Americans, well, sometimes, but is it how they need or how you want? Sometimes the help you want to provide somebody isn't the help that they need. And sometimes the help that you are trying to provide, you don't have the ability to provide. For a victim of extreme crimes, violent crimes, they need a safe environment. And it's not safe if you're constantly yelling. It's not safe if you're getting drunk and screaming at your spouse. It's not safe if you're inviting people over to get messed up on methamphetamines. That's not a safe environment. Or let me give you an example of a lady here in town in Tillamook, Oregon, who tried to help. She wanted to help. Well, I had an issue with a broken window and not having the tape to tape it up because I was broke. So this lady bought some tape and some plastic, which is awful nice of her, and then she taped it up horribly. She had good intentions, but she basically she didn't shape it or cut it or any of the things that I was going to do or would have done. She wanted to do it her own way. And she was helping me, so I had no place to complain, right? Well, it ended up raining a lot more. A lot of the stuff that was in my car that was wet, it ended up getting ruined, which is when she had helped me to put the window in. But she also wanted to help clear out my car. They wanted to help make space in my car to put some storage bins in so I could put stuff in these storage bins. And that was awful nice. But those storage bins were, first of all, too big, which these are all nice things that she wanted to do. But in the end, she ended up throwing out a lot of really important papers because some of them were waterlogged and some of them were just wet. Some of the stuff I have in here is wet, and I've been able to dry it and separate it sheet by sheet. But her name was Candy, by the way, or Candice, and there's one of her coworkers or employees. His name is Nathan, and they both helped me to clear out my car and throw out a bunch of stuff. But what they weren't understanding is that I needed to be able to pull all of that stuff out of my car so I could get under the rear seat so that I could exchange the gas pump. Like, this isn't something that I wanted. It's that I couldn't physically do this, first of all, and second of all, did not have a place where I could do it. I just needed a place where I could park the car, do the job. If I had, 3 or 4 days, then I could do it all myself. But I'd have to have 3 or 4 days of not getting messed with, and that was not going to happen. So I was having to push my car everywhere, and she's not understanding at this point. Hey, what I need is to be able to see out of that window. Thank you for buying the materials. That's nice of you, but it makes no sense to buy the materials and not do the job right. The rain kept on getting in, and all the stuff that I had on my passenger seat, including myself, ended up getting wet. And I didn't have any more tape, and I did eventually, well, since my car wasn't running, decide that it just didn't matter. I mean, at that point, I needed to make sure that I was fed and make sure that I was trying to get my car somewhere where I could get the evidence out of it. But I couldn't get anybody to do that either. So there's all these folks that are nice to me, sort of, and they always want me to do them favors. They always need money for this or money for that. One of them yesterday told me he needs $50 so that him and his wife can go see their son they haven't seen in years. And whether that's true or not, I don't know. Did I give them the $50? Yeah. Did they say they'd pay me back? Yeah. Do I think they will? It doesn't matter. They did offer to help me how I need, but you know how it is out here. If you give somebody something, it better be out of the kindness of your heart, because chances are pretty good that they're never going to pay you back. If you hound them about it, they may create major issues for you. So, one of the other things is when you're dealing with people who are addicts, a lot of times if you tell them no, it doesn't just become a pity party, it can become potentially violent. The videos with Christian Alexander help to show that. So, we're at a point now where we're having to deal with mandatory reporters who don't want to do their job. We've got a pedophile for president, and he's going after presidents of other countries. I guess he's trying to outdo Putin. What country's next? There's also the news. The news wants to show that there's Venezuelan liberals. They very specifically pointed them out as liberals. So the news wanted to point out that there's Venezuelan liberals who are glad that Maduro's out of office, and they're glad that there's a regime change. Well, there's Ukrainians that are hoping for a regime change. There's Russians hoping for a regime change. And there are Americans hoping for a regime change. No matter what country you go to, there are going to be people who are disillusioned or disenfranchised. Sorry about that. Trying to multitask a little bit more than I should. We have people in the United States protesting, not just liberals. Although that is kind of the liberal way of trying to do things, isn't it? To protest. What do other people do? If it's a Republican, it's called a strike. It's not a protest, it's a strike. They're organized different, organized better. It's kind of the thing with bullies. They're always better organized. You got 10 kids that are bullies, and you got 10 kids that are being bullied. The thing is, those 10 kids that are bullies are going to try to catch them other 10 kids one at a time. More bullies and less victims makes it easier for the bullies to win simply with numbers. Our laws are set up that way. If you are attacked by 5 people, let's say you looked at somebody's girlfriend wrong, and you're attacked by 5 different people. Well, if there's video evidence, that video evidence shows that you were the one who was attacked by 5 people. But if those 5 people call you mentally ill and say that you started it and they were just defending themselves, they're just trying to prevent you from hurting them, well, chances are pretty good you're going to be the one arrested. You're the victim, but that doesn't matter. Numbers carry the day. And of course, your evidence isn't going to be seen in that situation, not with a public pretender. I did have some people that were involved that got my public pretenders to do slightly more than nothing. eventually, one of them did recognize the importance of the Natalie Bollinger situation after being called repeatedly by others about it. Bananas. So, Venezuela, yeah, that's America's mistake. So, we pulled out of the other countries that we invaded. Trump had to put himself in some sort of situation where he could try to play the good guy. Well, he's a dishonest person. He's not a good person. But he's got the hate mongers all up on his side. These hate mongers are your racist Republican gun owners. They are organized. Now, that's something to be said about the situation in Portland with the ICE facilities. How, even though those people weren't actually getting violent, and the ICE agents and police were, they wanted to call them riots. No, 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 no. That's not a riot. That is definitely not a riot. Even the media is afraid of Donald Trump because he'll sue them if they say something he doesn't like. Well, he can go ahead and sue me for calling him a pedophile all he wants. I don't have anything he can take. Well, I do have a lot of evidence I've been trying to get seen. As some of you might remember, way back in 2018, I threatened El Presidente on his first tour. Was that because I have any ill will towards the president? Absolutely not. I don't care. He's a figurehead. I needed to get the FBI to do their jobs. I have done so many desperate things to try to get them to do their jobs when what I needed was a friend or family member to look at the evidence and help turn it in as soon as possible. Anything other than that was just taking advantage of me. Anything other than that was just wasting my time and wasting their time as well. The people that I worked with were the ones who claimed that they were going to help me in that way. But they didn't help me in that way. Many of my resources I was cut off from, and the targeting that I received and the abuse that I received still. It was still treated as if it's a delusion. Meanwhile, I got a bunch of psychological evaluations showing very, very clearly that I am not delusional. Any of you can look up the name Natalie Bollinger on the internet and realize that's not a delusion. Everything's getting more expensive. There's a even greater divide between the rich and the poor. The homeless population is exploding. Most of these people had jobs. Most homeless people were victimized into homelessness, and you tell us it's our fault that we were victimized for being poor, that we were victimized because people knew we didn't have the money to hire a civil lawyer to sue them when they refused to do their job. But them refusing to do their jobs is not just a civil matter. Those are criminal acts, and they need to be taken seriously. No victim should have to act like that to get heard. No victim should have to scream at the top of their lungs in the middle of the road. No victim should have to light a road on fire. No victim should have to threaten their predators back. Thing is, you guys make excuses for predators. You make excuses for bullies. It's only wrong if you do it back. It's not wrong for these people to harm you. You're broke. You don't matter. It's only wrong for you to defend yourself. It's only wrong for you to speak up. You're told to stand your ground. Then you're told that it's your fault you were harmed because you stood your ground. Then you're told to walk away. You walk away and they start hitting you in the back of the head with stuff. No matter what you do, there's nothing right because you don't have any money. So you're not a human being to Trump and his Putinist pals. There's a difference between them sick shits and myself. I'm not out there touching little kids.